Hello there. It's Colt from Spit and Tax. I'm back doing a video by myself, trying to keep things going. Now, everybody's got to realize, don't grow weary when it rains and when it snows. When you break a bone, it's going to heal. When your big guts are eating your little guts and you don't know how to act. Especially with the way everything's going right now. You know, and we'll be chastised, we will be in the fire. But our King tells us, do not grow weary. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And have you forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons? My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor be weary when reproved by him. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves and chastises every son of whom he receives. That's beautiful. Like my daddy used to. Boy, I tell you. But, so I always try to do that. Don't be mad at me. I'm back at the upholstery. Like I said, credit where credit's due. Okay, so now in this application here, once we have set our depth on our bolsters, our anchors, okay, little divot, and then we pulled it around, you know, up in the back. You see how the back lays? And then see that? That'll all lay out. That all pulls out. But how you do lengthy pieces, okay, is once you have your middle set, then you lean into it. You grab it from the edge and push out like this. And you're going to have to work your piece. You're going to have to work your piece. Manipulate your piece and watch how it lays. And remember how I told you how there'll be a separation if you put your adjustment on your anchor too deep? You'll see the stitch counts. How do you avoid that? You set it gently, but enough to where it's aesthetically profound and beautiful. You know, I mean, it fits. You'll know. And then you're going to pull to your left. You're going to pull to your right when you go to adjust. So I'm going to show you right now. Okay. Make sure we got some staples. Cool. Get rid of some of my blow-by. Not staple my finger. I like to keep my guns oiled. But you only need 3 or 4 drops, and it'll avoid a lot of that black snot that comes out of your gun, whether it's brand new or old. Okay, so again, we start in the middle. You lay your piece flat, and you'll see where your divots are. Okay, you want to come back where you need to. If it's not too drastic, you're good. Okay. See that? You want to eliminate those stitch counts and just get it snug. Okay? And then you have your back as well. Don't go getting crazy and pulling, because those pieces, good side to good side, which is a 1/2 inch sew allowance, you start laying those out and pulling on them, they're going to expose. Be mindful of that. You're taking steps back, and it's not right. It's not aesthetically right. So that's why I start in the middle, and then on those ends, you have to adjust. You have to. You're all over this thing like a dirty shirt. Okay. So just remember what you're doing. Less is more. Stop. come to the end, come to the other end, flip it around, push on it, especially if you have scrim glued to vinyl. Or if you prefer to sew the perimeters. Still, there's that wiggle room. Don't overthink it. Still, just be mindful of it. Always be mindful of it. And remember, you're an artist. We are artists. This is something you do not have to hang your head when you do. This is incredible stuff. But a lot of it's just, just stop and slow down. You're all good. Okay, I'm going to stop running my mouth. So, again, remember it wraps around. This is a tube, okay? Adjust it to where it looks good on the top. This is how I do the top. I always go with my bolsters, the front piece, okay? I like that. It's not taxed. My sew allowance isn't showing. So then I'll lay it flat. I like that. I'll lay it flat. I'll come to this end. I'll push that down, knowing that I have my back that's going to pull around and it'll help me readjust. Okay? We have already set these together with this. Remember that? How we did that? How we put those together? Okay, so we know our distance. It's not going to change all the way across the top of this field. So that's how you can adjust the front, and the left, and then to the right, almost to the ends, but not quite. And then you flip it around, lay it on its face, and do the same thing from the middle to the out, and you end on each end cap. Okay? It'll reveal itself to you. I hope I'm saying this right. This isn't easy to try to convey to someone in a video, but if you listen to this, just listen to me. It'll go smooth. It'll go smooth. And it's almost in everything. There's a front and a back, there's a left and a right, there's a middle, there's a field, there's accents. But generally, you have your perimeters, okay? Make sure your perimeters are right, and then you can wield accordingly within them. Well, that sounded like some Confucius stuff. Wama! I was some David Carradine stuff, some Kung Fu stuff. I gotta get out more. Okay, here we go. So, again, remember you have your front. Okay, keep your hands clean. Look at what you're working towards. Look what you're coming away from, and we have just enough. You'll be able to, if it's tenting like that on the ends, you're good. You can adjust, but you want your hide tight. So anyway, let's bring it around. We'll go a little bit to the left. Always go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. And flip it over, whatever it takes. I mean, you're working it. You're earning your dollar. Okay, so we'll make sure that, we gotta, let that a little loose so those stitch counts aren't showing. But see that field? See how flat that is? See how much extra we have? So we're gonna pull, and some of these, they'll pull out when you pull the back around. So this is just something you're gonna have to get used to having an eye for. And then feel with your thumb through that foam to where the edge of that board is. Okay, you see that board? There's a top and a bottom. And in the middle of that, remember, that's we're stapling down to that middle. Okay, we don't want a whole bunch of salvage in here. We don't want to fold two pieces over the top, because when I bolt that other piece on, it's not going to fit right. You don't need all that. It needs to be, I know it's a lot, but once again, your main focus on this kind of application is your pinch, okay? Left and right pinch, anchor dive, if you will, and then field, because we started in the middle, gently pull it back. Don't worry about it if there's a, like right here, there's a little dimple. When I go to do the other side, that'll pull out, because I'll know how to adjust. But do not pull so tight that the two pieces that you sewn together, when they lay flat, you'll see the stitch count. Okay? Huge, huge common mistake from a lot of people. You're not thinking. You're not being mindful. And I've done it and had to go back and redo it. I haven't done it for a while, but and when you're doing this, try to stay 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart in your staples, okay? Non-committal, but committal. You'll understand this as time goes on. Don't be afraid to sink a staple. It's fabric. Use it. Wield it. Manipulate it. Whether it's with a heat gun or just tugging and stretching. But if you pull this way, you're going to have to realize that something down the trail is going to be loose because you pulled too tight that way. So always dance and put your hands on over everything. Yeah. Okay. But you see how that laid real nice? And then we're going to only go to the edge of that anchor. So I'm going to once again just pull it snug, okay? Just pull it snug and then make sure it's flat down the field. Line up. I know where my board is because I can see the rest of my staples. Okay, you follow? You see how flat that is? Look at that. And our stitch count is not distorted and not exposed, excuse me. You can see those little black holes. Not good, not unnecessary. Unnecessary. If you have your perimeter measurements, like I showed you how to trace patterns and then add that 1/8 of an inch, well, when you add that 1/8 of an inch, whether it's a corner, a swoop, you have to adjust for those things and be mindful in how you are mindful and how you are correct always is because you keep a 1/2 of an inch sew allowance. And a lot of times, most every time, it will give you wiggle room and give you time to do relief cuts in certain instances or do feather cuts all the way around the edges of your sew allowance, which will make it splay out, which will make it in turn lay flat, and all of your contours will not be revealed. Witness marks, I don't always, some pieces I can just see, I just know. Big pieces, I'll always notch them. I'll always mark them. It just, I don't mean this. As time goes on, you'll just be more confident. You'll just know, and it takes a minute. Like I said, don't be afraid to sink a staple. I've seen people that are just afraid to staple something. It's like, oh no, and they have to keep going back and pulling them off. They don't understand the concept. They don't understand the framework of what they're working around, the geometry. But once you make these things come full circle, you'll be able to sink a staple and just keep on pushing, keep on swinging. Okay, so I know this is where I want it. So another committal right here. You see that? I'll show you commitment. Let me just dive out. Okay? Right? Don't be afraid to sink a staple. Don't be afraid. Remember, the middle of that board is our margin. Okay? So we started in the middle, we worked our way left. Now what are we going to do? We're going to work our way right. but just, baby steps, 12 inches, 12 inches, 20 inches maybe, whatever. And then flip it around, lay it on its belly, and pull that back, and then fold it up on its ass, on its butt, and then start in the middle, and then adjust your ends. Because your ends are the one pieces that will give you most grief. Okay? But as you can see, we are well on our way. So, boom, boom. We pull that up. We pull that up. We want that to pillow a little bit. I could see those black holes from our sew allowance. That's why you always start in the front. Okay? It is what it is. You set your stitch count. I'm running mine at 3 1/4. On my, like Juki's, Thor, Brothers, Fafs, Conso, they're all different. But they're the same, but they're all different. Still, you have to do practice pieces. And then you got to grab them. You got to take 2 pieces of 4-inch vinyl, glue some foam, some scrim to the back of it, okay? And then sew them together, good side to good side, fold them out, and tax them, and see how they pull. Put it on the edge of the table, and give it a stretch. And you're going to see those stitch counts revealed. These are the things that we wish to avoid. Sometimes they are unavoidable to a certain extent, but most times not. That's your goal always. Everything's hidden. It's just perfectly seamed, pillowy little creases. Pillowy creases. That's what you're after. And so this is the adjustment that we're after. So you start in the front, okay, and then you eliminate things. See how I'm pulling that up? Those little, they just vanished. So I know how much pull I got from the back coming around. Okay, this piece right here. So we went that way. Now we're going to come this way. I'm going to scooch down here so you can see. And you see those wrinkles? Gone. And then the remainder of them will disappear when I pull the back up over, like I just did here. Okay? And then this back wrinkle will disappear when I pull this forward to the end. Okay, when I pull it that way. So it's left, right, front, back, left, right. End to end. But you inchworm your way to the right. You inchworm your way to the left with these big long pieces. While being mindful the whole time that you're not distorting anything as you go. Okay? Just see down the trail. I'm a hunter, so that's how I conceptualize things. Anyway, so we're just gonna go to our bolsters, the edges of our bolsters, okay? How much time do I have? I might have to make another one. No, we got 18 minutes, 18 and a half minutes. So, hope I'm not killing you guys. All right. So again, pull everything together and slowly push to your right or your left. In this instance, it's to our right. Stand it on in, bring it up, give it a little tug, but pull back towards you at the same time. Okay? There we go. There we go. And then put your finger on the board and you'll know how far you can come down. Inch and a half to 2 inches apart. And don't get crazy and over pull. See that? Look at that. Beautiful. That little wrinkle there is going to come out when I pull the back around. It's all symbiont. But, I mean, that's killer. And, again, stop and spray your hands. When that overspray from that gun, that's gonna it's going to get, you know, and just gently. See, now there's a piece right here that won't come off. So I go back to my little pad, bring my degreaser. You see that right there? Gone. But just less is more, and then wipe off the excess. Now you can, vinyls have a patina, if you will. A patina is something, over time, I'm sure most of you know what this is, but they have a finished patina. If you start rubbing chemicals, goof off, and different kinds of things on them too abrasively, you're going to change the sheen, the patina, at an angle, a distance. When you're looking at something, walking down the dock, looking into a boat, you might see a square that looks off. If you're an artist like me, you're going to notice there's a weird little dull sheen there. There's a fault. There's a flaw in that seat. I see that kind of stuff. I just do, because this is all I do. So don't get crazy. Don't get crazy. That's why that degreaser, it's gentle. Little bit, and then wipe it off gently. Don't lean into it. Don't ever lean into it. You don't have to. You don't have to. Just little baby soft circles. All right? And then wipe it clean. And then a little rubbing alcohol maybe on lightly on a towel, and then just kind of walk over it once to take off the residue, the petroleum residue that all of these aerosols have. So, there we were, facing the fiery beast. Let's keep swinging. So, you see how I'm adjusting the front, okay? The middle is tacked, back and front. Both of our bolsters are anchored. Now, we flip the piece over and lay it on end again. Like so. Ouch. Ah. See that? That's the back. That's the front. Okay, you see that adjustment? So, what did we do last time? Remember? Relief cut. Don't be afraid to sink a staple. Don't be afraid to wield a scissor. So, we're going to go back. And we're going to relief cut and then dive up and out. Okay? Dive up and out, because you're going to adjust as you go. So you don't want to cut all of your handholds off, if you will. Okay, so you see that? That's what we just did on the front. So now we're coming around. We had 3 committals right here in the middle. Okay, and then now we have these posts. These posts that other seat bolts onto here. So be mindful of those. It doesn't end, does it? See, that's why these videos, I try to get as many as I can out, but it hinders how I can get things done, because I would have had this done a long time ago. And I mean, Ron's been waiting for this for a minute, but I've been juggling other things, and it's winter time. I'm in Spokane, Washington, right outside of Airway Heights, Washington. And it's winter time. Nobody needs their boats right now, so I got a little love coming to me. But, you know, I like to get everybody's stuff back. Everybody wants to see it. And, you know, I mean, upholstery's it's a prize. It's, you know, it's a treat when you go treat yourself. You know, like me, when I treat myself, I buy new arrows or a new sight for my bow. But upholstery is a treat. And I happen to have the worst upholstery in the city. You should see my truck seats. Good grief. I guess that's the curse of the tradesman. You might be the best upholsterer in the county or 5 states, and your truck looks like garbage. Okay, so remember, same principle applies. Always come back for reference. Do not distort where two pieces of fabric meet, the bolsters, for instance, to where we have the pinch. That's why we didn't go too deep. If you start pulling too much on the back, you're going to distort this, okay? So work it as you go. Pull them together and see how they lay, okay? You don't need a lot, but you do come from the bottom and you pull to the top. You see that dimple that came out? Then you go and look. I have not distorted anything in the front. But what I do is I start in the middle and I push to my left. And I'll do the same thing on the other side as I adjust, and then I'll come back and go, okay, cool. Bam. And I just meet in the middle. All right. And always remember, see these panels here? That's one shot, one kill. You go cutting those panels to relieve them. If you do not have them quadruple stapled, and then one on the side of that sew allowance, it could unravel on you. Be mindful of that when you go to cut pieces like this and adjust them. Don't cut this until you're ready to cut this, and you know damn sure that it is anchored into that. Okay, and it's not going to unravel. And then what I will do too is once I know that's where it's at, I'll take a couple drops of super glue and put it on those staples. Okay? That's the only instance that you use that, but you do. It's just a double stamp. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to fail or falter. Same page? If I'm lying, I'm dying. Been working for years. Okay, so, you come up, and then as you go out, you come up. Like I said, be mindful. You're inchworming your way across something, but you're not distorting it. In the foam, you got to be mindful of the foam. That's why you come up from the bottom, and you pull it up like this, okay? As you pull it this way. Okay, and that way. Just be mindful of what you're doing. Don't distort, but manipulate. Okay, so we're catching up. You see our staples? We're here to here. I'm only going to go a little ways down, but I'm going to give it, I'm not distorting it. And I'm going to put my fingers on here. And I'm going to stay in the middle of the field. I know where the edge of my board is. Yep. But don't get crazy. That's why you want to go 1.5 inches apart. If you have to pull a staple to relax something, because you will. You will. Don't care how good you are. You're going to lay it down and take 10 paces back in the shop, and you're going to look and go, oh, I see a little dimple. Walk up there, 2 staples. You pull it, that dimple vanishes. Gently lay it again and pop, pop. Put those staples back in. This will happen to you every single time. So I want you to be mindful of how you put your hide back on the frame that you've meticulously traced, added when needed, subtracted sometimes when needed. Know your boundaries. Know the geometry. You know it fits. Dry fit it. Look at it. And put it on correctly. I'll try to do more of these, and I hope that I'm saying it right. Like I said again, key. When 2 panels meet, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels on this where they all meet and they staple down. Don't cut those. Cut up and around to them, and leave them until the end, and to where you know that's what you like. Then pop, 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 4 or 5 staples in it. Put some super glue on top of that sucker, and move on. Okay, it'll lay flat to where the next piece can bolt onto it. So I'm Colt from Spit and Tax Upholstery out of Spokane, Washington. My heart's in this. I know what I'm doing. I do things my own way. Every upholsterer you're ever going to meet does it his own way. There are a lot of things that we all do the same, okay? Sew allowances, for instance, and whatever. But it boils down to technique. So, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater if you don't like, what's he doing? He doesn't do it this way or he doesn't do it that way. Well, does he get it done? And is it correct? Is it sound? Will it hold up to measure? And that's the human being. We're some tough dogs. I mean, we'll put a beating on things. Whether it's ourselves or our trucks or our boats. So, it means a lot to me that you watch what I do here. And I'll try to be better and try to be as humble as I can. And it's very kind of you to watch. And, like and subscribe. Or not. But peace be with you. I'll see you around like a donut.